Good morning, everybody. Last week, if you attended my Mass and listened to my reflection after the Gospel reading, I told you that one advantage among many of being a priest and a counselor, at least in my case, is that I am privy to very interior and very personal movements deep within the personality, movements of the heart. I hear a lot of hurts. I hear a lot of successes. I also hear a lot of hopes. I hear a lot of griefs. I hear a lot of joy. And this is reminiscent of what Gaudium et Spes back in 1965 said during the Vatican Council, that the joys, the hopes, the griefs, the fears, the anxieties of all men and women all over the world are the very same joys, griefs, fears, and anxieties and hopes that the Church experiences. This is actually another way of saying that the Lord is journeying and remains steadfastly united to a people, whatever it is they are experiencing right now. The first reading is very prophetic. It talks about the oneness, the unity, the concern, the care, and the love, and the solidarity that the early Christians had for each other. They were not considering whatever they had as their own, but each one was putting it at the service of the whole community. This is prophetic. This is still the ideal. This is still a reality in many cases all over the world. And like I told you, as a priest and a counselor, I know what this is all about, because this is what I hear every time I have a counseling. Their dreams, their hopes, their disappointments, and their griefs, and their fears, and their anxieties, and their worries, and their anger. So welcome to the club. Today, I'd like you to know that I admire Thomas. I don't call him Thomas the Doubter. I call him the best representation of what it means to be human that I have in the New Testament. Because Thomas was not just doubting. Thomas was honest about his doubt. Thomas didn't keep a secret about the need for him to stay apart and not to be one with the community. He took himself apart. He was not there when the Lord showed himself the first time to the apostles. He was absent. He was hurting. And I admire Thomas for accepting the fact that he was hurting. And truth to tell, we are all hurting. No one here right now, no one in their homes right now joining us all at prayer, albeit on TV or on the wide screen. No one of you can honestly tell me you are not worried, you are not afraid. Over the past 2 weeks, I've been hearing from former students, and I've been teaching for 44 years, all told. And what do I hear? Yesterday, I heard from one whom I never heard of for months. And then he told me yesterday, or the other day, sorry for not keeping in touch, but I was in hospital for 10 days. And I thank God for the new gift of a new life, because he has recovered. And he now tells me the joys, the hopes. When 2 weeks ago, 15, 20 days ago, it was griefs, it was fears, it was anxieties. Welcome to the club of humanity. Humans as we are, we don't have all the answers. And unfortunately, not even the scientists can tell us, honestly, what is the real score. They don't even agree with each other. And honestly, I am hurt and disappointed that people who should be in the know, who should do no harm, who are doctors and researchers, I am convinced in the growing suspicion that at least some of them are really working for their own self-interests and for big pharmaceutical companies. And therefore, they are pushing the vaccines because they are stakeholders and stockholders in those big pharmas. In the meantime, the poor who cannot even afford to pay a tablet that costs 28,000 apiece are waiting in grief, in terror, in anxiety, but in hope always for a cheaper alternative that people in power are not willing to give us because they also have stakes and stocks in these corridors of power, prestige, and position. My dear brothers and sisters, am I here to give you bad news? No. My bread and butter doesn't come from preaching hopelessness. As a priest of the Roman Catholic Church, my bread and butter, what I eat and drink, comes from hope. If there is nothing else that I can tell you, if there is no hope in what I share with you, then you can report me and tell our superiors and our pastors that this priest is telling us nothing but hopelessness. I have been a herald of hope. Why? Because this is what I breathe in, day in and day out. And this is what I revel in. This is what I glory in. This is what feeds me. This is what strengthens me. And that's why I admire Thomas, because he was honest in his disappointment. And for a while, he chose to suffer in silence, alone. He chose to distance himself, physical distancing, social distancing. He did not become, for a while, one with the apostles. He was absent when the Lord came. But you can blame Thomas for being anxious. You can blame Thomas for disappearing for a while. You can blame Thomas for not being one for some time with the rest of the disciples. But you cannot blame Thomas for having no faith, because he went on believing. And when the second time the Lord showed himself, the risen Lord, and he told point blank to Thomas, Thomas, come here, touch my wounds, see my side and touch my hand. Please. Did Thomas touch them? No, because Thomas never left, never gave up his faith. Thomas never gave up his faith. He was hurting for a while and said, I'm out of it for some time. Let me suffer. Let me ride the dragon. Let me ride the waves. Let me fall down with the punches, roll with the punches. Let me suffer. Allow me to suffer because that is my right. Allow me to ask questions because that is my right too. But I hold on to faith. I hold on to God. I hold on to the Lord, who alone has the words of everlasting life. And even if Thomas said, unless I see the mark and put my finger into the nail marks and put my hand into his side, I will not believe. He was hurting. But when the Lord told him, peace be with you, put your finger here and see my hands. And Thomas could only answer, my Lord and my God. This is what we should all say now. In our griefs and fears and hopes and anxieties and worries and sadness, because Facebook has become a big obituary page, and the names of those who are printed there are getting closer to home base. I know them. They were my former students. I know them. They are related to me in some way. I have met them in the many places I've been to. I know them because they were just chatting with me in Messenger not very long ago. They were helping me build face shields last year. They gave me money in order to do PPEs last year. And some of them gave me money for boats that I sent to Eastern Summer 8-9 years ago. And are still giving me now that I send the same to Catanduanes. And now we ask, and we are one with Thomas, unless I see miracles, unless I see the end of this pandemic, I will not believe. But then the Lord shows himself today to us in this hidden sacrament, the sacrament of hiddenness that reveals more than heights, that reveals the greatness and the mercy and compassion of God. Today is Divine Mercy Sunday. Then there is no other prayer worthy of our utterance except this: my Lord and my God. What else do we need to say? That's all we need to tell the Lord and ourselves today. My Lord and my God.